Welcome back. حياكم الله. We are now in the cell. Guess where am I standing? I'm standing in the cytoplasm of the cell. The cell has many organelles. Organelles يعني مكونات الخلية من الداخل. Cytoplasm. Let's say the board here is the blood. Blood comes from here going this way. This is the cell. So this will be the cytoplasm. Here is the cytoplasm. Then here is the mitochondria. Mitochondria has two walls, as you see. There is outer straight wall and there is inner membrane of the mitochondria that have crystal on it. So then you go inside. Where am I standing now? In the matrix of the mitochondria, I mean قلب الميتوكوندريا. So this area where I'm standing in is the mitochondria. It should be in the presence of oxygen. Anything gets in here should be aerobic. There's no way that things get in here without oxygen. Again, this is the cytoplasm where I am now. Then we have the boundary of mitochondria. Outer membrane is straight, inner membrane is crusty, and there is a space between both. This is important. We'll talk in details why this space and what happens in this space. Then we get into the matrix of the mitochondria. Now, what happened to the carbohydrate? As you know, glucose is the representative of carbohydrate. Glucose is the main monosaccharide of carbohydrate, as you know. And glucose starts by coming from the blood. This is glucose, gets inside the cell. Now we start what we call glycolysis, breakdown of this glucose. Glycolysis starts by this glucose. Glucose is broken down into these structures until I produce out of it two pyruvates. And that's the end in the cytoplasm. This is called glycolysis. So if I ask you what is the end of glycolysis, it will be pyruvate. Now, if there is no oxygen, pyruvate, as we said, will become lactate. If there is oxygen, pyruvate will get into the mitochondria. More little details of the glycolysis. Glucose, when it gets inside the cell, it becomes glucose 6-phosphate. In fact, glucose would like to run out, to run away, because he knows he'll be oxidized, he'll be damaged, breaking down, so electron will come out of it. Now, through an enzyme called glucokinase, there will be a phosphate added to carbon number 6 of the glucose, as if it is holding it in his feet. يقول له مستحيل انت تطلع انا مسكتك. فيصبح اسمه glucose 6-phosphate because the phosphate is in carbon 6 of glucose. Glucose 6-phosphate cannot get out. Then it becomes fructose 6-phosphate. Then it becomes fructose 1,6-phosphate through an enzyme called phosphofructokinase. This is PFK1. This is the rate limiting step. Again, details will be later. Details will be later. But this is the rate limiting step. This is the key reaction here. If you want to control this glycolysis, you can slow this enzyme. If you want to increase this glycolysis, you increase this enzyme. Then we go down, smaller structure, smaller structure, smaller structure, until we reach pyruvate. Now what happens during the way? Some electrons came out. These are the electrons. These are the electrons that came of glucose through this way. Now who carry it? It is my track here. Beep, beep. This is my track. My track is NAD. When you add NAD, actually, when you add electron to it, it becomes NADH. Now, all the electrons of glucose in this pathway is in the track. The track will go where? This track is called NADH, as you know. This will go to the oxidative phosphorylation pathway, if you remember, in the last talk. That's in the inner mitochondrial membrane. It's here. In the inner mitochondrial membrane, there are many complexes here. We'll talk about it later. It's called oxidative phosphorylation pathway. It is where this truck will come and give the electrons here. Now, we reach into pyruvate. Pyruvate, as we said last time, need oxygen. If oxygen is available, pyruvate comes into the matrix of mitochondria. It becomes a structure called acetyl-CoA. And then it gets into mini reaction. It's a circle. Acetyl-CoA becomes citrate, isocitrate, alpha-ketoglutarate, succinate, succinyl-CoA, fumarate, malate, oxaloacetate, acetyl-CoA, citrate, isocitrate, alpha-ketoglutarate, and it is rotating like am I doing now. I am rotating. It's like me rotating. تدور زي ما أنا أدور. So the pyruphate gets inside the cell and start rotating. This is called Krebs cycle. And what comes out of Krebs cycle? Again, electrons. And who carry the electrons? The trucks, the NAD, and another truck called FAT. They will carry the electrons. These are the electrons, see? The electron comes out on them. They will carry electrons. And where are they going? They will go to inner mitochondrial membrane and throw their electrons there. Electrons will run in these complexes ATP. Excellent. This will produce ATP. So it's three major steps: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and this pathway is called oxidative phosphorylation pathway, whereby we produce ATP. Thank you very much. Details will be later in our website. You're welcome.